Hello and welcome back to Where Are All My Friends? This is episode 2 of Neil Westfall from A Day to Remember. And I'm not kidding, as I went through and edited this together, I forgot how good this conversation was and was re-inspired all over again. It was one of my favorite conversations on the podcast. It was so insightful and inspiring and cool. And it was all about everything that Neil does outside of the band. We talk about everything he's learned in business from the band and how he's then applied that to his life. So we talk about him meeting his wife and them getting married and then starting a restaurant in Orlando called Park Biscuit Co. We talk about how much A Day to Remember has become a family outside of just the music. We talk about him streaming on Twitch and how he mastered that and loves it so much and what a community it's built. And then we talk about perfecting and mastering skills. It was just this amazing conversation. So I think regardless if you like the band or whatever you're interested in, you will get something from this conversation and you will love it. And then another thing on my side was last week, I just started the Where Are All My Friends Patreon. And it was really important to me that if I did that I added a bunch of value and that I made it something really special. So in it is an entire behind the scenes episode with Neil where we talk about just a deep dive on our love for touring and some of our memories and his love for Blink-182 and how he got to tour with them. So I'm really stoked on the Patreon. I'm trying to make it something really, really special. And anyone who has already subscribed, I can't tell you how much it means to me. Christy, Cameron, Will, Logan, Mia, Emma, y'all are some real ones. You were like the very first to subscribe, and I will never forget that. So if you want to go above and beyond and support the podcast, you can do that, whereareallmyfriends.com, or you can go to patreon.com/whereareallmyfriends, and you'll find that link. I think that's just about enough of me rambling. Enjoy an incredible episode. All right. Take me up to speed. Let's jump right on into the current now.
Okay.
Because outside of the band, I think that there's something about you, and like earlier you said, it's like music afforded these opportunities to you. Like if it wasn't for music, you wouldn't have been able to like really deep dive into some of these things. But I'm really impressed by what you've paid attention to and the things that you have gotten into outside of just the band. I think that a lot of people could put their feet up and just be like, yeah, cool, I'm in a successful band. We're good. I'm chilling. But that's not the case with you. Like you have really gotten into some cool things. Like, I guess let's start with the restaurant, because that's quite the undertaking.
Yeah.
And I'm really interested in that. And I think that's also cool because a big part of that is with your wife, right?
Yeah. So that kind of goes back to touring and staying sane on tour. A lot of us in the band and crew we would look up restaurants that were rated either the best in a city or like rated nationally, or they would be on like Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives. They would be featured on like the Food Network. They would be either Michelin star or Zagat rated, or any kind of rating system, James Beard Award winning restaurants, any restaurant that had an accolade of some sort outside of their town that was worth going to.
Yeah.
We would search that out.
That becomes really fun on tour.
It's
like
kind of, I'm like,
I
I should be 400 pounds. Like I love food. I love it. I love the experience of eating with people and being social and going to restaurants. I love the experience of a restaurant. I love how people do those different things. And that was like super important to me. I love that. I love the idea of like chefs taking something from nothing. I like the parallels between like food and music, like me writing a song or coming up with a riff and then kind of taking it to the guys and we work it into a song. It's like you taking an ingredient and molding it and changing it or fermenting it and doing all these different things. And then you mold it into like a menu item that gets tasted and tested and changed and eventually,
or even like making it your own.
That's
like
I just
everybody
love that.
can make a sandwich. Everybody can write a guitar riff. But you're like, yo, but what if?
And
like
I
you put
love
your own unique.
Yeah, exactly. Making it unique.
Yeah.
I love seeing how people did that. I love the process.
Whoa.
And so it was always like something that was like super important to me. I always wanted to own a bar, and I always wanted to own a restaurant. Like those were like on my bucket list of things to do. And
sick.
Whenever I met my wife, we were on tour with Blink-182, and she was Travis Barker's personal chef. And she is a vegan chef. She was working out there with them, and
Yeah, because he's big into that, right? He has
oh yeah,
Crossroads and all that. Yeah.
huge into it. Huge animal rights activist. Huge, um, like it's just a person that pushes the vegan diet and how beneficial it can be to not only like your body health wise, but mentally and just all around. Yes, huge proponent of that.
Yeah. And not like he's like modern day vegan. He's
Right.
not just like salad.
No,
Like
he
it's
gets
cool
it.
stuff.
No, yeah, he gets it.
Yeah.
And so my wife was out with him on that tour, and I kind of just like would see her, and I was just like, man, she is beautiful. And I didn't know who she was. I didn't know her before this. I just kind of was like, wow, who is that? And then everyone's like, that's
and also
Travis
on that
Barker's chef.
tour, between all the crews and all that, what, you're easily like 100+ people.
Oh, yeah.
As far as like
Massive.
a traveling crew.
Massive traveling party. It was massive.
So you just like see this girl that you had a crush on like go by from time to time and be like, who is she?
I just thought she worked at this venue in El Paso because it was the first day I saw her. It was like 3 days into the tour. And I was like, whoever the catering girl is at fucking El Paso, like, I think I love her. And then I saw her again like the next day. I think we were in like Oklahoma or something, and we were playing like where the Thunder play. And I was like, oh man, the catering girl's back. So that's what I was like calling her in the beginning, because I'm like ignorant, whatever. And I was just like, oh, the catering girl. I didn't know her name, and I was like too shy to talk to her. And so the whole tour basically goes by, and it's like the last 3 weeks of tour. I finally like, she talks to me a couple times, and she invites me to go on this camping trip. We kind of like talked back and forth, whatever, a little bit through text, and I was like always super nervous and whatever. She invites me to go this camping trip. I had my motorcycle out on tour because me and Kevin brought our motorcycles out in case we wanted to like go ride and do whatever.
Of course, you're also into motorcycles.
Oh,
of
yeah,
course.
yeah.
Sure.
So we had our motorcycles out on tour, and she's like, hey, this show in Atlantic City got canceled. Do you want to come to this camping trip? We're going to be spending 3 days at this place in Wisconsin. It's called Somerset, and it was where they do rock, Northern Invasion, this big rock festival up there. And so I'm like, yeah, I'll fly to Minnesota. I'm going to hang out with Kevin, because Kevin was going to his house, because that's where the next show was going to be in Minneapolis, and everyone else went home. The bus eventually got there. I got my motorcycle. I rode my motorcycle from Minneapolis out to Wisconsin to hang out with her, which was about 3 hours away. And so we kind of like started hitting it off that way. And then eventually, once the tour kept going, I was like, hey, will you teach me how to cook? Because I love cooking. Yeah. I feel like I'm really good at cooking meat, but I'm terrible at vegetables. And I feel like you're the quintessential vegan chef. You know vegetables better than anyone else. So that was kind of my way to get to talk to her. And then fast forward a couple months, she comes and visits here in Florida. I go to LA and visit with her and stay there, and we kind of go back and forth, and then we're like dating, and things are starting to get more serious, and like I miss her immensely and can't stand to spend time without her. And I was like, let's do a pros and cons list and see if I should move to LA or you should move to Florida. And so we do that, and taxes is on the list like 4 times. And I'm like, look, Florida's so much cheaper. I already own a house here. If I move there, like we're going to rent a place, and I'm like small potatoes out there. Like here, like I could go places and it's cool, because like I got like my bar that we could go to and hang out at, and I like people know me at the restaurants and that I like to go to. And it's, if I move out to LA, it's like, I'm not Jared Leto, so it's like I don't have that kind of shit out there.
Not only that, like it's like, I mean, I guess actually now, this day and age, if you are in a Day to Remember and you are in Florida, it's probably a pretty, like you guys maybe will get a national holiday soon. But but yeah, like I don't know, it's just, it's easier to carve out really special things in Florida.
Yeah, you have it's like your little space. It's like where you can come home, and we've been here. I've lived here my whole entire life. I spent the first 20 years of my life, I lived just outside of Ocala, in surrounding areas. And then I moved to Gainesville, and then I moved for the majority of my life, I've lived in Orlando. And so I just have my space. I have my spots, and, I've made a little place here. And so she comes here and visits, and she's like, yeah, I kind of like it. That's cool. And so she moves here. And at the time, she was a personal chef for a bunch of celebrities and athletes and whatever, musicians, obviously Travis Barker and whatever. And
Yeah.
she moved here, and there was like that whole existence, like it wasn't here. It didn't exist here. Like there was
Yeah.
no like need for a personal chef here, especially one that was vegan. And in Florida, like that was kind of a,
Florida's a little behind like that.
yeah, it was a distant idea that like there was remnants of it here. Like there was a bunch of good vegan restaurants here, but it wasn't like, whatever.
It's not like LA.
Right.
Like it's like it's not, and also to explain Winter Park Biscuit Company, it's like it's very modern and with the times. Like it's something that could very easily be in LA or New York or any city that's like with it. It's culturally relevant, as weird as that is to call a restaurant.
Thank
your
you.
menu, everything. So it's a little ahead of Florida.
Well, our whole thing was we wanted to make a contemporary Southern fast casual restaurant that was vegan. And
Yes.
something that I think moving forward, I think that the vegan diet is the most sustainable way to feed the most amount of people, in a way that's responsible,
Yeah.
And I still eat meat myself every once in a while, and I still do these things, but I would say like 90% of my diet is vegan. Anytime, like obviously I eat at the restaurant like a lot, and anytime I eat with my wife, I'm vegan, but like I still kind of like have those experiences where I want to go to a restaurant and have like certain things and do these certain things that just mean a lot to me. But I think that is the future. And I think that is like where all of this is headed. And so that was one of our goals, is to create a place that was plant-based, that just felt normal. It wasn't like a weird, like, no offense, it wasn't like a hippie experience. It wasn't like a rabbit food experience. It wasn't like we serve salads and smoothies kind of thing. And all those places are amazing and they all have their place. But like we wanted to create something new that was different, that was pushing the boundary. We were really heavily inspired by like Veggie Grill and other like kind of fast casual places that were happening out in the West Coast. And we are also inspired by like other fast food restaurants like Chick-fil-A and McDonald's, and kind of like watching that movie, The Founder, and just like seeing how well things could be designed to work. Like just the idea of figuring that out was like a really fun, cool challenge. And
dude, and it's like, I haven't eaten there yet, but I've just seen it. And it's so that, like, you really analyzed that so well. And dude, while I watched it come together just on social media and the internet, it took me so long to even realize that it was vegan, because I was like, oh, this just like, it looks just like some bomb ass like fried chicken sandwiches, like fast casual, if you wouldn't want to go to a Veggie Grill or a Chick-fil-A. And it felt a little more, it actually kind of reminded me of the Coop in Florida.
Yeah, the Coop.
But like very like holding it down Southern style food of substance. And then it wasn't till after where I was like, oh shit, this is also vegan? Okay.
Yeah, my wife is just, she's incredible. She's one of the, I think, on the forefront of like when it comes to implementing certain mock meats in ways that like, you can go to the grocery store and find a bunch of different versions of mock meats, right? And they're fine.
Yeah.
You can have them.
Yeah.
But she like takes those things and like makes dishes that are like, I'm like, holy shit. Like you could eat this and never think that this was plant-based, or never think that. And that was another thing that we wanted to do, is we didn't want to be like preachy and any of that kind of thing. We just wanted to be like, look, you can come and eat this once a week and make a difference. You don't even have to think about it. The food is what matters. It's good food. And that's it. And that's what we wanted it to be. And we wanted it to be able to exist in New York. We wanted it to be able to exist in LA. We wanted it to be able to exist in Miami. But this is where it started. And this is where we kind of came up with the concept, and the idea was right here in Winter Park.
Dude, I also kind of love that. Like I think one of the things that inspires me quite a lot is King State out in Tampa, like what Tim and Nate and all of them are doing. And I think it's so incredibly cool to let Florida start something, like to let Florida be the best in class and have it trickle out from there.
Well,
because it's easy to think that things like that don't exist in Florida. And to be honest, I think that some of the things in Florida are the best of the best. And there's not other noise either. Like it's just like you don't need five options of that when the best is already there. And it really feels like you guys just took that. You were just like, all right, cool. No one's done proper vegan fried chicken, fast casual, proper everything. This is ours. And you just set the bar. And I think that's fucking sick.
well, thank you.
Yeah.
It is, and a lot of times though, people they find out that they're good at something, or they are kind of raising the bar in whatever industry they're in, and they will go to New York, they will go to LA to really take that business off. But for us, it's like, this is home, and Mary's really just moved here and made friends in this whole food community. She's like accepted and embraced this whole place as if it was her own. And
Yes.
we just had a baby, like you were saying earlier, and like it just cemented that like this is our home, and we really wanted to kind of push that. And like I said earlier, there was already an amazing vegan scene here. There was a bunch of people doing what they were doing, and we were just trying to do what we do and stay in our lane, keep our head down, work hard, do what we care about. Like we care about design, we care about all these different aspects that are so much bigger than just a restaurant. Like that's what I kind of mean by when I go, a music afforded me all of this, is because in A Day to Remember, we learned how to be a business. We learned how to be a t-shirt company. We learned how to be a festival. We learned how to be all these different things, all these marketing machines, all these design things that are super important to set you apart from all the other bands. And now I'm able to kind of take that and put it into the other passions that I have.
Yeah, but I can also, again, not even argue, but just further go on to that of like, I know a lot of people that came from bands that still somehow don't get that don't understand how to elevate things, that don't somehow seek that like that crazy level. Because being in a band and starting from what you started from and climbing those ranks, like, is the ultimate college of becoming an entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
Yet certain people still miss the mark, or they'll substitute quality, or they won't seek that perfection. And I think maybe that's what you and I were clicking on, is just like that weird undying pursuit for always finding the best of the best of the best in everything. But I find that so incredibly inspiring to see that you've been able to apply that to so many things outside of a band from what you learned by being in a band.
I just knew that like I didn't want to go to school, and I knew that that's like, in my mind, that's how I justified this. I even like told my mom, I was like, when I call and ask for money when we're broke on tour, like if I was in college, you'd be giving me, like, I would be in debt because I needed the money to live, and this is like my college. So like you helping me out through this is like you supporting me while I'm learning at school. It's like the same thing. It's just different. And maybe that was just me like trying to like survive and whatever, but that's what you have to do. And like there's a lesson in that, amazing. I think, like you kind of got to like look at things not always from what they look like on the outside, but what they could be and where that can take you and what you can use it for, and then push those things to the max, like just keep pushing. I don't know.
No, that says it really, really well. And it's cool. And I am always obsessed with finding what that is in people, because certain people have that and certain people don't. But when you see that in people, at least for me, it inspires the hell out of me, because it's just, that's the game. That's the point of everything. Mm-hmm. And it's so cool.
Well, and I have to give props to everyone else in our band and how we pushed each other and how we further each other's view on the world and how we support each other. And like, especially in the restaurant, like all the dudes in the band are invested in the restaurant, like they believed in what we were doing, and our management invested in the restaurant, and our friends from LA invested in the restaurant. It's all like family oriented, super small, kept it to everyone we know. We offered it to a few people, and everyone supports everyone in what we're doing. And that's another thing about this, is like it's family, and it extends. It starts with A Day to Remember, but it all extends from there. And like everything in my life that I have is because of how much all these people have believed in me and stuck by me, and then the same, from me to them. And it's just a big circle. It's a big circle.
Yeah. Damn it, yes. Like, I don't even know what else to say to that, but it's just like, that's what I learned from music as well, is like building this family and the people that are closest to you that see the same eye to eye, like same level as you, and bringing each other up and building that community. And it's like, I really do feel like A Day to Remember set that example better than so many. And hearing that explained and translated even into an entirely different industry, I'm just like, oh, fuck, that's so cool.
There is a bunch of parallels, and that's the other thing that I've kind of gotten to learn by doing this. And, like again, it's our team. Like I am a part of this team within the restaurant, and it's headed by my wife, fucking incredible chef, amazing woman. But like, I'm just lucky because we all mirror each other and we all give back what we hope to receive. And we just constantly pushing each other and being honest and talking and having these conversations that are hard sometimes and not giving up on things when they are like, well, what do we do now? Like, I think that's the basis of any form of success. Not that I know anything more than my own experience, but it's just when things get hard, you have to find a solution and you have to make sure that solution can work into the future. And as you build on that solution, there's going to be more problems. And as long as you're willing to take those problems as like, hey, this is fun and we can figure this out together. And that's what this team is about, is like crushing these problems and making them about having fun finding the answer rather than like getting stressed finding these new problems.
Looking at life like a game.
Yeah, it's
like the problems are the challenge
easy.
Of the game that day.
It's not easy, but it becomes fun. I don't know.
It's fun.
I don't know how else to.
Yeah. There's definitely times where it's far from easy, but if you look at it like that challenge of a game, at least when it's not easy, you're playing a game with your friends and you're playing your favorite game because of the life that you've kind of navigated.
Yep.
It's sick. Briefly tell me about how because not only do you just like kind of do Twitch, like you're like really in it and doing it.
Yeah.
What was your inspiration for that? And will you keep it going after touring comes back?
Yes, I will keep it going. And my main inspiration was actually Matt Heafy from Trivium and Josh from our band, Josh Woodard. He was getting into Twitch when the whole pandemic started. He was like playing video games and doing all this stuff. Those two people were the biggest influences for me getting into Twitch. The pandemic accelerated that. So like I was watching Matt from Trivium do this one video, and he was talking about how he has a schedule on Twitch and he plays guitar, he like writes songs on Twitch, and he like does like covers and does all kinds of stuff. But he gets on there every day and the Twitch community holds him accountable to practice his craft, which is guitar and singing and songwriting. But he does it in front of these people because they hold him accountable. So if you're just in your house and you practice, like maybe you'll practice and you're like, oh, maybe I could go do this other thing and do this. But he's like, I set a regimen for myself to get on there, and I know that I didn't want to let down these people that were super excited to see me and talk to me and create this community with me. And then also I am doing what I love, which is playing music, practicing, playing all these things. And then I'm also doing it at a level that I want to show people, hey, I'm good. This is what I do and I'm the best at it, right? So like it created this perfect storm for him to get better at all of these things. And because of that, he then grew this community and this audience that helped funded everything else in his life. And so I was just like immensely inspired by that. And I was like, okay, so I can practice while learning to interact better with people, because if you've known anything about A Day to Remember, I am not the voice of A Day to Remember. I'm the guitar player of A Day to Remember.
You're on the more quiet side.
And I do have fun, and like I'll be in interviews and whatever, and I'll talk a bunch, but like I've never been the person that's kind of addressed just an audience and people have just looked at me. So I was kind of like nervous about that. So Twitch pushed me into a place where I was uncomfortable, and I loved that. It gave me a reason to get on there and practice, to talk to people, to engage with people outside of just A Day to Remember. It was just me. People were looking at just me. I was creating a brand for myself, which is like something that I was really excited about. And then I set up a schedule which held me accountable to do it. So I did it every Tuesday and Thursday at 9 p.m. I got on there and I played songs. I talked to people about our band. I talked to people about songwriting. I talked to people about guitar. And I also kind of like I added the aspect of teaching people guitar, like little things that you could never get from like a 15 or 20 minute or an hour lesson.
Like your canned generic
Yeah,
lesson
you
kind
couldn't
of thing.
get that from that because it came naturally through me being like, oh, fuck, I just messed that up and I need to practice this. This is why I need to practice that. And then that would lead into something that would be a conversation between me and the Twitch community of like why that was important, how I figured out why that was important, how I utilize different techniques to make that better and elevating like everyone when it came to guitar.
That's so sick. And have you found like there is a music community on Twitch? Because it has the association of just like, oh, like it has to be gaming, right?
And that's what I thought at first. And that's why I was kind of hesitant to make Twitch that platform for me doing that. But I think people like Matt are pushing the boundaries. And nowadays it's like you got people that are like Young Gun, which is a video game music streamer. So basically goes on and plays this video game. It's called Rocksmith. And he takes charts that are a part of the video game and he learns songs and plays them for people. So there's like this entertainment aspect of
you
like
interviewed him, right?
Huh? I did.
You interviewed him.
Yeah, I did.
Right? Yeah.
He's another huge influence and reason for me getting into Twitch and kind of like taking it from that music aspect, but rather than worrying about if I had enough video games on my channel to really make people interested in watching. And so, that's kind of Twitch in a nutshell.
That's so cool. That's so cool. And I think now you're pushing that as well. You're pushing that. And I think that the platform is it really is so much bigger than video games. And we're seeing that more and more now in this modern era. So
it's just a platform
you exist
that gives you a TV channel. Like you have your own ability to broadcast and it's up to you with how creative and how much work you want to put into it to how successful you'll be. It's like directly you. It's no one else. And if you're not successful, it's because of you. They give you all the tools. There's an unlimited amount of resources through YouTube. You know, like you can go on YouTube University is what I call it. That's what a lot of people call it. I didn't coin that shit.
For sure.
But
for sure. I didn't go to real college. I went to YouTube.
Yeah, exactly. And so, when the pandemic happened, I was like, I wanted to do all these things, but I never had enough time. And now all I have is time. And so I'm going to fill my time with doing things that I love. So playing guitar, communicating with people, trying to elevate people, trying to take my knowledge and give it out as much as possible just to make any and everyone that wants to learn have the tools to take it to the next level. And that's really what fulfills me just as a human being. Like I like helping people. I like working on these things and then that brings me joy. So yeah.
Dude, I really feel that in talking to you. Like you were such a genuine fan of music and then you got the chance to do it and then people liked it. And then you really got the chance to do it and got to be and tour the world in a successful band. And it just doesn't feel like you or anyone in the band has this like too cool for school gatekeepy kind of vibe at all. It's just like, you're such a fan of music. You're just so happy to be here and to hear you want to pay that forward.
Oh yeah.
And to expand upon that in any way. And like, even again, like you being like, when tour comes back, I don't give a shit. I'll tour in a van. I'll unload the trailer. It's like, you're just here because you love it. And I feel it. And to hear you explain that and to hear you expand upon your interests past just the band in other things that you love while keeping a common glue of call that music and a community or just like whatever that is, the obsession of perfecting hobbies and all of that. Like, it's just fucking inspiring on every level to me. Like it's just cool. Like I had a feeling about you and that you were on a similar level like that, but like to really hear it explained, I'm just like, damn, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you for existing.
I mean, I don't know. It just is, I don't know. I, like we talked about earlier, is like, I have all these hobbies and like the way my brain works is like, I'm always trying to figure out a way to turn a hobby into something that kind of like is sustainable, right? And like in a hobby usually means it drains you of your time and bank account, like most of the time. This will be a good segue into the truck because that's exactly what the truck is for me right now. Any old vintage car or any like kind of project that you have is like, that's like what it is.
Hard to make money on that.
Yeah. So that for me is like, I always try to find a way to make it to where it's sustainable and I can like kind of have I can gain something from it, as far as like, whether it doesn't even have to be like money. It can be like doing Twitch. Like Twitch helps me pay for my studio space at the audio compound. So I
Yeah,
rent the
which is another like band partnership type thing,
yeah,
huh?
yeah. And that's Jeremy Jeremy and Andrew Wade built out this
Yeah.
space in Florida, which is like absolutely beautiful studio compound. It houses 3 different studios inside of it. Andrew has the studio A, which is a control room and a main thing. It's where we just did the last like little live stream that we did with the live at the audio compound. That was in Andrew's room.
Oh, yeah, that was beautiful.
Thank you.
That looked and sounded okay. Yeah. Cool.
And then there's
Light bulb just happened.
the B room, which is my studio. So it's where I do all my Twitch stuff. That's where I do the unicorn tone stuff. That's where I record and
Yep.
produce bands whenever I get the time, which is like very rare now. But it's something that's
You
super.
did Nidus Expire though, right?
Yeah, we did. We did the full Nidus Expire album. That was the first album that I got to produce myself, and I did a couple. There's this band called Dead Weather. Me and Andrew Wade did this contest where we like had all the local bands send us their songs, and we picked one that we thought we could really do well, and we wanted to see how well we could work together. So I did all the production and the engineering, and then he mixed it. And so they're going to be releasing those singles here soon, and they're fucking rad. And so I'm just trying to get into that a little bit more and explore the production side of music as well. But it's like, for me, it's just, I'm limited based on time, and I got to figure out how to prioritize my time because I have so many interests and I have so many things that I want to take into a level of like sustainability where it's not draining me of resources and time. It's actually benefiting me, whether it's mentally, monetarily, or the community around me, to then push me further and push us further and push everything like music or food or whatever. Like, as long as it's a positive in my life in some way, like I'm down to give my time and resources to it. And so that's like really what kind of funds all those hobbies. And that's the reason why I want to take them further than being a hobby, and take them and kind of understand all the nuances of them and try to master them in a way that like I can do them and create something new that can sustain itself. And then I can just be myself. And then I don't have to like worry about money, and I don't have to worry about, can I afford to do this or can I do that? It's like, I can do all the things I love doing because they're paying for themselves, and they are.
Yeah, you kind of just blew my mind with that.
That's really what I want. That's my goal.
The ultimate solution to having a bunch of hobbies is like, if you can figure out ways to have them sustain themselves, not only are you advancing and learning crazy in that field, you're also then affording it the ability to continue to exist, and hopefully not only exist, but like help other people and like do it on an even bigger, like, you just explained such a big concept so simply there. And I'm like, well,
that's just the goal. Like, that's what I want. I want to be able to create all these things that can run without me even being involved, but create them in a way to where they're positive to everyone involved with it. And I can still come in and do what I want to do in those spaces and like be surrounded by people that are just amazing. I mean, and honestly, like, this is going to sound fucking batshit crazy, and I almost don't even want to say it, but like, the idea of this is like, my biggest inspiration is Kanye West.
I don't think that's batshit crazy. I fucking love him.
Like, it is batshit crazy to a lot of people. But here's the thing. I love his idea of, he does this already. He kind of looks at all the things that he's interested in, and he tries to elevate them in a way to where it can be a sustainable part of his life. And I just was hugely inspired by that, and hugely inspired by like his ideas in that kind of capacity. And so again, this isn't an original idea of mine. This is me just being inspired by that and then pushing it and utilizing it in all of the facets of my life. And only now am I starting to see the benefits of how some of the stuff is starting to work, and it's starting to like move under its own weight rather than like me pushing it, if you know what I mean. Like, it's pretty cool. So everyone probably just turned off the podcast. They're like, Kanye West, no.
Oh my God. I don't care if I ride so hard. Like the example that I always use and think about with him is like, I think it was like 2007 when Graduation was coming out. 50 Cent had a rival album,
yeah.
and they were like, you know, like it was the battle of who's going to have the first album.
Genius. By the way.
Well, Kanye West won.
Oh yeah.
If you were wondering. And now, what do you remember 50 Cent as? He had In the Club, he did something with vitamin water, and there's like a rumor that he like got paid a bunch of Bitcoin. And that's all you know about Kanye West, or 50 Cent. And then you look at Kanye West and it's like, okay, since Graduation, what happened? He put out album upon album upon album that pushed boundaries and pushed culture and pushed the genre as a whole, pushed him as a producer, challenged himself to do a billion things, got into fashion, I believe is getting into restaurants and architecture as well.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, he is batshit crazy, but in a way of like, look what he has actually done and pushed forward. So it's like, maybe you don't like him on a personal level, but just as far as business and as far as like what he has actually accomplished, I feel like you have to respect that to some degree.
Yeah. And I don't think I know any person that I love every single part of their personality. Like, no offense to anyone I know. It's like we all have like our own things. And I'm sure there's a lot of things that people are like, Neil, I bet you like ask my wife, she'd be like, Neil, stop saying yes to everything that's going on and stop doing all these different things. Like, you're a father and I need you at home and I need you to do all these things. And I'm like, but I just like need to do all these other things. And
it's all too good. It's all too exciting. Yeah.
Stuff. And she's like, I need to do these things. And so like, again, it's like, you don't have to like every single part of everyone's personality. Like Kanye West is a genius. I don't give a fuck what anyone says. The dude, we don't see those moments in between where he's a human being. And we don't see those moments where he's not being eccentric. We don't see those moments.
And he's always in the spotlight. He's such a topic now to be talked about. People are always looking for the craziest examples.
And they want him to be
the most
crazy.
dramatic.
A lot of times people want him to seem crazy because they can't understand him. Like, and I'm not saying that I do on any level, but he is inspiring to me because I see certain aspects of his personality in myself. In those things where it's like he like pays attention to those little details, like details that to a lot of people don't matter. But to him, it's like these details are the foundation for the bigger, larger concept where someone would find some simple idea and that would be it for them. He supports it with all these small, minute details that you would never think of that actually elevate a simple idea to this grand concept that most people won't even understand for however long. But
you want to go, if we're going down this hole, I'm gonna match you on appreciating the details and having that level. And to me, yes, I do have a vision board. And on that vision board of things that inspire me is the door sill of a Singer Porsche 911. And on that door sill says, everything is important. And I think that I look at that every day and I think about that. Because like that whole company built something beautiful off of completely restoring these vehicles and reimagining them in the most perfect way, and down to every stitch and down to every little thing. It is as damn near perfect as I could call it. And nobody needed to do that. Yet once it was done and once the vision existed and it was a tangible product, everyone loves it. And you can't not talk about it.
You got me so excited because the Singer Porsche is, I don't have a vision board, but my next guitar that I'm building with ESP is based on a Singer Porsche. So it's the green color it's the Porsche green. That's like my favorite Singer Porsche that I like have saved in my phone like 700 times. Cause every time it comes up on Instagram, I like screenshot it and it's the same car every time. I just don't even think about it. I'm just like, oh, I love this. And I'm just like, oh, that's the same fucking car. But
same car. Yeah.
But yes, so it's based on that. And it's like the details, like it's funny you brought that. I always talk about that company and not many people that are outside of like the car community know about that company.
Dude, it sets the bar.
And I'll like show them I'm like, look at this seat. I'm like, look at the rivets in this seat. Look at the eyelets that they put into this. Look at the dashboard. Look at the bezels around the fucking. I'm like, look at this shit. And they're like, yeah.
Everything.
They're like, I'm like, no, this is not Porsche that made this car. This is a company that took a car that already existed and fucking took it to a level that the company that created it could never do.
And it's just so cool to me. Like, I feel like it's a lifetime of work to get to perfecting your craft like that. But when you see, to me, like, those are my heroes, because I'm like, wow, if you really find something that you love and you put that much time into it and you never give up and you set the bar that high and you set your inspirations that high, and you say, if Singer can build a 911 like that, if Kanye can do all of this in music, if all of these things can exist, then if I'm being honest with myself, I could probably perfect this even more.
Yeah.
And even like you said with Twitch, you're like, it's all on you. It's come back to how hard you work.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, it comes back to like, I don't know what that is in people, but when you have that, it's a blessing and a curse, but it's crazy.
It is. And it's like, it can be as simple as this. Look, like, you don't need $1 million to start a Twitch channel. You could use your laptop camera and you could use your laptop microphone. You could use things that are already existing on a computer that you already own for something else. Start a thing, and it's all based on you. How creative do you want to be? How much work do you want to put into this? How much time do you want to spend building a community? And it doesn't have to be anything more than what is already inside of you. Like, how is your personality going to work? Are you going to be able to create this character that people are going to watch and like and interact with? Are you going to talk to people enough to build a community that they want to come and be a part of and tell their friends about and be proud of? And that's just you. It doesn't have to cost anything. You can do it almost for free, literally.
Yeah.
And there's not many things like that. And especially not many things with the growth potential that Twitch gives people, you know? So
that's so sick. And I think that lesson is also kind of true. You could mirror that into YouTube or even music these days.
Yep.
I think like a lot of the kids that I've had on this podcast have started in music as like a solo project. And like, I remember Keyshore came on the podcast. He recorded his first vocals into a phone.
Oh yeah.
He used his phone as his mic and he still made it work and people still listened, because it's all the other things. It's all the things that doesn't necessarily have to cost money. It comes from care, and it comes from, are you putting everything into this?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's my summarization of this is Neil Westfall, a guy that puts everything into everything.
Yes. That's how my daughter was born, actually. Anyways, so the Blink-182 humor, it just never stops. I mean, it's like always back there. I'm like, should I make this awful joke now or no? It's usually yes.
Dude, I like it took me a second. I was like, oh my God, he went there. It's so, I don't know, it's just cool. It's cool that you're proof of that, and you're also proof of the concept of a 13-year-old with $1 million. So thanks for putting those two things together really fucking well, because I find it very inspiring.
Well, if I can extend a compliment back to you, thanks for being good at this and putting effort into an interview and doing research and having production value.
Dude, the mutual respect here is out the roof. It's crazy, but it really is. It's a huge, huge honor to have you on. And it's cool. Like this whole podcast is just the pursuit of finding people just like yourself and hearing these stories and hopefully inspiring other people that relate to things like this and are like, damn, all right, I guess I have to keep pressing on. So I think that your story is such an incredible one that I hope will inspire others to keep chasing whatever it is that they want to perfect.
Yeah, man. That's all I could ever hope for.
Yeah, that's sick. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.